Hello, my stunning, beautiful, esoteric, bad bitches. I have an episode for you today, okay? So I'm gonna keep it so real. I'm gonna keep it so real with you right now. I am struggling. I had an episode that I wanted to film today, and it's just not happening. Like, it's not coming through, right? So I just decided we're going to completely shift what we were going to talk about today, and that episode is going to be saved for another time because it's a good one. It just didn't want to come through me today. So I want to talk about kind of two things and just totally on theme, totally like off the cuff too. Like we're rolling. Like, I just want to talk about what I do when things aren't flowing, when I do feel like things just aren't moving how they should be moving. And also, I want to go into what I do when a trigger comes up, like what I do when I start to then get triggered or upset by something. And hopefully, this can help you to just move through things in a much easier way, in a way that supports you, and in a way that helps you to ultimately come to a better solution and resolution and move more in alignment. So, first, let's dive into the topic of when things aren't flowing. I used to really have trouble with actually responding to this energy, with even having the awareness that something's not flowing and having the level of what I ultimately see now as self-love and self-care to do something about it. So let me explain, and maybe you might relate. I think I kind of actually went into this, so it's funny that this is like the topic that I end up after everything coming to you with today. But I mentioned in, I think, the last episode that a concept of like taking advantage of myself, and that's been something that I've struggled with. And I'm actually really proud of myself right now, sitting here and shifting what I'm talking about to talk about this. Because if I were to have done the other episode, if I were to have done anything else, I would have been falling into that old pattern of taking advantage of myself. And this has been one of my most recent and deepest wounds that I've healed. And I see it with a lot of people. I see it, I think, because I've gotten to it, and that's a dark thing, right? Like, that's like a pretty like hard pill to swallow. Like, we don't want to look at, like, I take advantage of myself. I have even used the words in my journal, abuse myself. And I know that sounds so harsh, but it is fucking true. And because I've uncovered this, I feel like now I can see it. Like, I'm also a projector, so I can kind of like see things, and I can see it in other people, and I can see other people doing the same thing, or other people having struggles or feeling resistance to things, or things aren't flowing for them how they want them to be, or they're working in their business and they're feeling miserable while doing it. I can see through that there's this level of taking advantage of their own self. Now, this has been programmed into us as well, so it's really not our fault, but it's our fault if we don't wake up to it and fix it. I had this like visualization, this awakening with myself back in, I want to say like March. It was when I was first beginning creating the updates for Scale, and I was creating my vision board for this year. And a big thing in that vision board, which if you're in Scale, I like let you guys really intimately see into the ways that I specifically manifest things and what I'm manifesting. And it was interesting because my vision board, my original intentions that I set this year, and they've shifted and moved, and they do what visions and dreams do, which is transform. But it really was all based around this energy, like a feeling. And it was a feeling of really being in this flow and in this harmony, especially within myself. And the terminology and the picture that I always use, because I'm such a picture person. And this is something else that I've really come to like own in on. And you guys will probably hear a lot more of it this season because it's how I'm starting to process things. I don't know if it's like a level of spiritual awakening or something that I'm going through, or just realizing that this has always been how I've channeled. Also, sorry if you're watching the video and I'm like fully massaging my neck. have a pain in my neck from trying to sit here and record that other episode for like 2 hours and just it not working. Anyways, so the visual that I always see is like my gift, what I have to give to the world is like this golden honey that flows through me. And fill in the blank with whatever your thing is, whatever your gift is, whatever your medicine that you share in the world is. And see it as like this juice, like this golden honey that pours through you, that you deliver as such a gift to the world. And I got this visual of kind of like the Giving Tree. Do you guys know that book? The Giving Tree. And I will get little visions of that every once in a while when I feel like I'm pushing it. I'll see the Giving Tree and I'm like, oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. But imagine the Giving Tree, but it's yourself. And from this tree flows your golden honey, your medicine, the gifts that you share out in the world, whether that is your channeling, your wisdom, your kindness, your loving and open heart, your caringness, your creativity, your intelligence, whatever your thing is that you share out in the world. And I had this visual of just like running it dry. Like running it so dry that there was just nothing left to give. And yet I was still pulling and trying to get more from this tree and it just had no more to give. And I received the understanding, and I've had the understanding, right? You fill your cup so that the cup runneth over, right? So that you can pour from this overflowing cup. And that's been such a thing that I've just anchored into deeper than ever, I'd say these past few months. And I've been away from the podcast. Obviously, I've been like dealing with my move, but behind the scenes, I have been working on plenty of things. I've been working on recreating or updating Scale. Actually, I can say recreating because recreating from, I think it's module 4 on, it's basically entirely new content or updated content, and working on a drop, getting my home together, and just going through my own spiritual evolution and next level discovery of myself. And I've been really taking the time to prioritize filling my cup at this time. I mean, I'm sitting here right now recording at 6 p.m. because I spend all day. And listen, also today, like I said, it's been a day. Your girl got like thrown off track. If I would have followed what I'm about to tell you right now, all of this would have flowed so much easier and I'd be done by now. I'd be chilling. I'd be on the couch. I'd be doing whatever. Not that I don't want to be here right now either. I very much do want to be here right now because I want to share this with you while it's just like fresh on my heart, especially. But moral of the story, or what I'm trying to say, is normally I wouldn't be sitting here at 6 p.m., but I would be sitting here around like 1 or 2 p.m. because I spend the morning, I spend the entirety of the day filling my cup. And now this isn't every day. This isn't an everyday thing that I don't start work until 1 p.m., but I do spend a lot of time at the start of my day filling my cup. And I make it a priority for me to spend the end of my day filling my cup. For example, when we finish this episode, I will go back to filling my cup. And tomorrow I will fill the fuck out of my cup because Lord knows I need it after today, okay? After right now. So all of this to say that I have really prioritized this filling my cup because I've received this vision that that is how this golden honey flows. You pour into, you water the tree, you nurture it, and then there's golden honey to pour from it. But this still does not mean that there's this infinite supply, and this is not to be said in a limiting way at all, but this just doesn't mean that you can abuse this tree for the golden honey on demand when you need it. So we support our tree, and the tree is a metaphor for yourself, okay? We support our tree to have this flow, this really like juicy flow of this golden honey. So it's always flowing. And we also make sure that we never tap it out, right? We don't tap it to the point that it runs dry. We utilize and let this golden honey pour as it wishes to pour, where it wishes to pour into, how it wishes to flow. And the more that we allow it to flow as well, how it wishes to flow, our magic. This is our magic. This is our medicine. And I also want to make clear, this might not be your job. Your job may be something that's different from your magic, your medicine, your gift, that golden honey, that juice that pours through you. And everyone's is different. Like I know mine, but you will know yours. I'll give an understanding to mine, but mine is like my channeling. It is my understanding of the spiritual energetic realm and being able to ground it and communicate it and teach it and help other people through my own channeling, gathered wisdom, learned wisdom, embodied wisdom from this lifetime and others, right? But that is my medicine. And there have been plenty of times since I've worked this career, right? Since I've been doing this, that I have tapped out my medicine, that I have abused my medicine because on my calendar, I needed to record today, or I needed to have this done by this date. And this was something that a while ago, actually in the creation of Scale, I basically had enough of. And that was the inspiration of Scale, was realizing there was another way to do this. There was another way to be successful that wasn't this masculine dominant, this unhealthy masculine way that we've been taught, that didn't abuse or take advantage of and leaned into flow and intuition and allowed for your magic to flow. But this is something, again, that goes against what we've learned, what's been programmed, what's normalized in our society. And so the unlearning takes time. So I've really gotten to this place where it's been good, right? Like it really has been good. We've moved into this lifestyle that I like to call the new way, doing things in a new way that really honors you. And this is when I talk about cycle syncing. I talk about human design. I talk about always being turned on to your intuition, always following this awareness. But it was like a slap in the face when I realized these other ways that we abuse, that we take advantage of. And it reminds me too of Mother Earth, of just how we treat the feminine everywhere. Like how I can't say this, I guess, on YouTube, but great Mother Earth, of her magic, of her resources, right? She has so much to give to us that she wants to give to us, but we take it too fucking far. And in the same way, we have this golden magic. We have this honey to pour, but sometimes we take it too far. And it's important to notice when things aren't flowing. And rather than becoming frustrated with yourself, which is what I used to do, I would get really frustrated and I'd get confused because I'm like, universe, angels, guides, higher self, like, isn't this what I'm supposed to be doing? Isn't this my medicine? Isn't this my mission? Isn't this my purpose? Don't I love doing this? Why are things not flowing? Why do I feel like when I'm sitting down to, whether it's like write and I'm just going to go with my job, but like really fill in the blank with whatever you do, but write an Instagram post or film these TikToks or make these module slides or record this module or record this podcast. Why does it feel like it's so hard to do sometimes? And this isn't always, right? If something is always hard for you, I would take a look at if it's actually an aligned thing for you, because there's the difference of a challenge and a push and something just always feeling like it's too hard. Also to note that the cause of things always feeling so hard could be a symptom of burnout, could be a symptom of you've gone so long just tapping your sap, your golden honey dry, that it does hit a point where even though it's the thing that you want to be doing, it feels fucking impossible. And I've been there too. So please continue to listen and hear what to do if that's what you're coming up against. But like I said, it's not always like that at the point that I am now. But when things in the past have come up, it would be like, why? Isn't this what I'm supposed to be doing? And again, earlier this year, I had that awakening. I had that realization. I had this new level understanding of something that I had discovered and understood and embodied years ago now. But this new visual, like I said, of this tree, and it wants to have this medicine to flow and to give, but we expect to be able to extract from it whenever we want. And although we can support it so that it always has this honey to give and it's flowing and it feels good and it feels juicy, the fact that we can expect to extract our magic on demand is quite abusive. I want you to think about a animal or a child, right? Let's use like an animal because I'm getting that visual right now. And this is just like such a channeled podcast right now. Like I'm just going off the dome with this one. But I'm seeing like the elephants in Thailand or wherever there's elephants that people are riding. And maybe these elephants are homed, right? Maybe they're really like homed nicely. They're taken care of. They're given baths. They're able to roam around when they're not working, right? And they're given food. Like they're taken care of. But the idea that we can tell these elephants when to essentially perform is abusive. In the same way that if you had a child and you expected your child, right? You told your child, okay, now like perform. Now do this fucking thing. And your child was like, I don't feel like it right now. I really don't feel it. I'm tired. It's not there. You wouldn't force your child or little you can even think of your inner child when you try to force yourself to perform, to just like be on. And this isn't to limit or to, I can already hear people saying like, oh, well, that's easy to say, but I have to like, get on stage sometimes, or I have to, I have to be on because I have this meeting or I have this big presentation. And we can, as I said, support ourselves for these things in our life and set ourselves up for success, prepare ourselves, prepare our energy. We can have tools that help us to get into a desired state. But especially if you're someone who your magic, your medicine is something that is, I'm struggling with the word, but I kind of want to use the word like sacred when I'm talking about like channeled stuff, right? Or like what I feel like I give when I give is I put a lot of weight on it because I want it to really help other people. There's a big intention behind it. And for me to just think that I can just at any time in any moment pour and take from that tree feels a bit abusive of the gift or the energy. And I think it's a fine line. A card that I pulled the other day and that I've talked about before on the podcast. Funny, I misspelled it on my story today too. And somebody called that out and was like, that is not your word. And you know what? Maybe it's really not for me. And maybe like we're all so different with this. I did pull the card though. So I'm like, the universe is telling me something with that card, but the card was discipline. And I think that there's a balance of having that discipline, right? Like I mentioned, I'm sitting down to record this podcast right now because that's a part of my commitment and my discipline, not just to this audience, to you, but to myself, to wanting to be consistent and fully devoted and disciplined in my work that I am so passionate about sharing with the world and just feel so blessed that I get to share this with the world. But when we go against, I think this is the key here. It's when we go against that intuition, especially if you're someone who's living as an intuitive being. And if you're claiming to live as an intuitive being and you're claiming this work, I think you're so tested when you claim this work because the universe is like, oh, bet. Bet. Like you live by all those rules, bet. Like walk the talk and practice what you preach. So in any realm, because I want to tie this to anything, I want to tie it to whatever work you do, whatever your medicine is, right? Like if you're a surgeon and that's your medicine, like that's your gift to the world, you can't be like, you know what? I'm not feeling like this surgery today. Actually, you know what? You can. And like, if your intuition is like, babe, don't do it. Like, don't, please. Like, please don't do it. But I think we all also see, and here is the fucking programming. It's like I'm working this out in real time with you guys. I mean, it's something I've worked out, but it's easier when I can like look at it one-on-one with me or with a client. But when I then try to like put it to other professions like a doctor or a therapist, I like, have to kind of put myself in those shoes and work my way through it. But here's the thing. I think the programming runs so deep to be disconnected from our intuition that we're like, oh yeah, but like you can't do that. But in this case, you can't do it. But why can't we? If our intuition is telling us, even if we have the date booked, if the flight is booked if the doctor's appointment is booked, if the surgery is booked, if the vacation is booked, if the wedding is booked, but our intuition is saying like, no. And there's this block, there's this resistance. I'm giving examples right now for like showing up for work and letting your creative energy flow. But this could go for anything. This could go for anything when there's that block, when there's that clear like thing in the road. And I'm not talking about a challenge. I'm not talking about you're feeling stretched. I'm not talking about like, I don't know if like I really feel like doing this right now, but I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do like my rituals to ground myself, and I'll probably get into flow. Because let me just say, and that's the thing with discipline as well. I do that so much. Like there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know what vibe I'm feeling right now. I don't know if I want to like sit down and work on this, but I have fucking nothing else to do. There's not really anything else that my intuition is telling me to do. So I'm like, I'm going to, light my incense, do my meditation, do my ritual, and I end up getting on a roll. Okay. If my intuition is telling me to do something else, I do my best now, especially since my move, you guys. My move has been like such a life change for me. I do my best to like roll with it. Like last week, I was supposed to sit down and work on a module. My intuition told me to pick up a specific book and go walk to the river and swim in the river. And the amount of crazy synchronicities that I had on that walk, I listened to a podcast while walking and heard something in the podcast, direct quoted it in my phone notes, then opened my book, and the next page over was the direct quote I had just written in my phone notes. Like it was just so the universe confirming like, yeah, you were meant to follow your intuition and go do something else today. And I received guidance, and I talk about this all the time with like my courses or my podcast. Whenever something gets delayed, for example, this podcast episode I was supposed to record today, that's probably delayed for one reason, because I'm probably supposed to have like a different shift, understanding, awakening for it before I sit down and record it for you guys. So I will let you know when it is that episode, and we'll kiki about it. But anyways, so on days or times when it's not like your intuition is very abruptly like hard stop, like no, like you are not doing this, like everything keeps coming in your way, but it's more like a mental thing. It's more like your own kind of like, maybe I just want to like scroll and watch TikTok, where it's like that subconscious kind of like self-sabotage or whatever. That's when I will really support myself to like do my little things and see if I can get the energy moving. If I can't, that's when I'm kind of leaning towards, okay, there might be a resistance here. There might be something coming up. To give you the example of today with recording the podcast episode I was going to record, oddly enough, I like channeled it through this morning and was like, oh, this is what I'm going to record today. I had a full page of notes. But when I actually sat down to record, something felt off. It felt really off. And as I was recording it, it felt really off. And part of me was like, literally as I'm speaking, recording the podcast, a part of me in my brain is like, you should stop this. And the other part of me is like, keep speaking the things that you know to speak. And the misalignment, I just was like, no, there's no way I'm putting this out there, when like literally in the back of my mind, I'm like, you should stop right now. My boyfriend kept making noises. It's literally so hot in this room. That's something we need to figure out, because the AC doesn't work in this room. It's so fucking hot. And the resistance just kept coming. I hit play or I hit record 3 times. One time I got an hour in, one time I got like 15 minutes in, and the third final time I got like 3 minutes in, and then I said, fuck this. So again, as I said, we've been programmed as a society to really like abuse ourselves, to take advantage of ourselves, to take advantage of our gifts, our talents, our medicine, our flow. And so we aren't really taught to recognize things aren't flowing. There's something in my way, and do something about it. We're really told to just like power through, fucking get it done, right? But I believe that when you are somebody who is working on the realm of energy, you're not just trying to create your success from hustle, hard work, 3D kind of structures of building success, but you're like I'm going to manifest this shit. Like my energy is magnetic, and yeah, I'm going to do the work in the physical 3D. I'm going to take the steps, but like I'm doing this in the aligned way. I'm doing this in the new way. I'm doing this, everything that I teach in Scale, right? Led by intuition and true to me, true to my alignment, because I know that not only will that get me exactly where I want to go, probably 10 times faster, but it's going to get me probably even better than what I can imagine for myself if I were to just stick to this like hard defined lines of the things that I should do. So we're not taught how to do that. We're not taught to become aware of the walls. We're taught to just power through it. But that is just literally going against everything that we teach in manifestation, right? Everything that is at the core of manifestation. Sometimes it's easier to think of manifestation as like, oh, I just, follow the aligned action. I just take action. I just believe the right beliefs. But like when you walk the talk of it, it's not always so fucking pretty. Because if you're actually walking the talk of it, then to take the aligned action means to not take the unaligned action. It means to notice when there's that block, to notice when you're hitting that wall, to notice when there is resistance up against something and you're being guided against it, and to not go forward, to pause, to fucking pause. And this is my practice. This is what I do. This is what I had to do today. This is what I have just embodied more and more and more over the last couple years, but have really just like anchored into with this most recent intentions that I set, like I mentioned back in March when I began this new update of Scale. And my Scale students know from reading my vision board, this energy that I've been wanting to manifest, to embody, it's so grounded in this, in really fully trusting, honoring, following my intuition like never before, right? Like you guys know, I've manifested for years. I've been doing this for years, but I wanted to take it to a new level where I really followed it like never fucking before. So this is what I did today. This is what I want you to do, because this is manifestation, and we can like dabble in it here and there and we can make things happen, but it's when you fully surrender that the big shit happens. And when I look back to my first ever quantum leap, that's exactly what I did. And I really faced it at that time with I had nothing to lose. What was the worst that could happen? Like I had nothing to lose then. Over time, I was like, I built my business and I felt more responsibility over something that I loved so much. I felt like I had more to lose. So I almost lost a part of that like very essential piece of manifestation, which is that surrender and that full following and being like, no, I'm not going to take the unaligned action. Aligned action only, and fully following that intuition. So it took me, I went off track for like a year. When I started making Scale, I got back on that track and I've just deepened and deepened and deepened and deepened and deepened back on it more than ever. And here's my process. Again, totally off the dome. Like I'm just going to basically tell you what I do. And that first component is to become aware of it. Is to notice, okay, there is resistance here. Like there is something that just isn't feeling right. And the universe, like when you're really in tune, you will know, like you will notice it. And even after hearing this, you now are aware to this. So you'll start to notice like, why is like everything kind of like quote unquote going wrong? Like, why does it just feel so hard to do this thing? Like, why does it feel like forces are against me here, right? And notice, is this resistance? Is this something that there's like the universe, my guidance is kind of putting a stop to? And how can I lean into this? So I want you to pause. I want you to notice that there is this resistance there. There's something that's kind of drawing a line. It's not flowing for you. It's probably not feeling so good anymore now either, because now when you try to push through it, when you continue to try to move forward and do the thing, now you might become aware that it has the undertone of taking advantage of yourself, because you're expecting yourself to show up, to perform, to be in the energy, to be able to provide your medicine, to be able to have it flow. And you're like tapping that fucking tree, and the tree's like, look, I got nothing to give right now. Like, this isn't the time, babe. Like literally come back tomorrow. Literally like come back tomorrow, or come at me with like a new perspective. Like, we need a vibe switch because I'm not giving energy into this. It's not the right time. But here's the thing. So often we would take advantage of ourselves and be like, no, you're fucking giving the energy. And so we give this emptiness. It's like we're pouring like nothing. So our shit falls flat. Maybe like and people feel this shit too. People feel it. Like if I were to have put out that episode, if I were to keep going, I guarantee you that would have been a great fucking topic because it's a great topic. It's a great learning lesson. It's like a lesson. It's like a mini course on its own. And it would have fallen fucking flat. Because you could feel that I wasn't giving my golden honey juice. It was like some just like dust. It was just the fucking dust. And so, yeah, you can move forward and you can give your fucking dust, or you can pause and you can say, okay, look, this isn't going. Like this isn't flowing. Something's not working here. I'm going to trust it. Here's the other thing, and I've mentioned this a lot. I mentioned this when I made Align and Attract. I mentioned it when I made Scale. I've mentioned it when I have made podcasts, anything that I've made. Anytime there's been a delay, I used to get so upset over it and just like, oh, again, taking advantage, abuse of myself, which was such a shadow that I couldn't even see it for years. But I would get so angry at myself. But eventually I'd surrender. Okay, whatever. A flop day is a flop day. I'm going to let it flop. And I'm going to take this L and like do rest, read, watch YouTube, do whatever the fuck like I feel like doing right now. And I would always somehow stumble upon something that ended up enriching and giving me even more to add to what I was trying to work on every single time. To eventually I learned that if things were getting delayed, if things were like really like that resistance was really there, to just take the L, let the flop day be a flop day, and trust that there was something for me. And you also have to do this without expectation. Don't then be like, okay, well, like, give me that thing. Do it without expectation. And I promise you, there will be something. Someone will say something. Something will happen. Maybe you'll get invited somewhere and you're like, wow, my phone would have been on do not disturb and I would have missed this invitation, right? Go learn to trust the more that you surrender. Pause. Recognize it's not working. Then I like to have this like conversation with myself and just close my eyes. And this is what I did. This is literally what I just did. Close my eyes and I kind of do a bit of a negotiation. Depends, right? Some days, like I said, you take the L. Some days I'm like, yo, I have zero energy to give right now and I need to rest. Some days you can tell when you have tapped that golden honey and it is that line of abuse where it is like, oh, there's literally nothing there. Like there is literally nothing. She needs rest. She needs some milk. Like we're done, right? But in the example like today, or maybe with you in something that this might show up with you where you're like, but I have the energy to give, which that's sometimes when it's the most frustrating, when you're like, I'm like awake, like I'm like ready to go, but like why is there this like resistance? Why is there a wall here? And so I'll stop, and I did this today, and I'll ask soul, what do you want to do right now? Like literally, what do you want to do? What wants to pour through you? What do you want to give that golden honey to? And who knows, some days it might be, my soul could have told me today, I want to fucking write. I just started writing poetry, you guys. That's like, I'm like kind of not embarrassed because like do your thing, but like, I don't know. I just started writing poetry. I was like sad the other day and I just wrote a fucking poem. So here's to like divine feminine energy. Like girls are the best. And maybe like I want to do that. Maybe I want to write. But I asked myself, like, what do I want to do? What do you want to do? And my soul answered, like, I want to sit and film something right now. Like, I want to talk to my people. I want to do this. Like, I'm ready to do this. I want to do this. And I mentioned this earlier as well. Not only for you guys, where it's totally for you guys, like, love you so much, but also for myself, because I'm really like in on being consistent, being devoted with this podcast. Like I really want to like give so much to this podcast this season. It's like it's a passion of mine. I want to show up for it. So for you guys, for myself, I wanted to do this. So then I asked my soul, okay, then what do you want to pour? What wants to pour from you? And this was what fucking wanted to pour, right? So this has happened. Let me give like another example as well. I can't give too much detail because I'm waiting to like fully announce this. I'm like still kind of conjuring up how I'm going to announce this announcement that I have coming for you guys. It's like very, very exciting. But basically, I was working on a scale module, and it just wasn't flowing. There was like, again, that like wall. I wanted to sit down. I wanted to be working. I wanted to be like channeling through my golden honey wisdom. I really wanted it to pour through me, like not just a want in, again, that abuse way, but like I could feel that it was there, that it was like I had so much to pour, to give, that it was like juicy, it was lighting me up. But for some reason, like I was feeling resistance around that thing, around that topic. So I let myself shift gears into another project that I'm feeling really passionate about, that's really exciting me, that again, I'm going to be announcing soon. I'm just figuring out like how I want to structure things. And I ended up like really getting so much headway in this other project. And then I was able to go back later the next day, whenever it was, I don't remember, and give my golden honey and all that alignment to the scale, the module and scale that I was working on. So even just letting yourself shift gears is crazy, right? It's like so often we're like, no, this needs to get done today and like this, and it needs to be this way. But just asking yourself, where do I want to give my energy right now? Where does the universe, because that's how I also see the golden honey. That is source. That is your higher self. That is your spirit, your soul, your spirit juice pouring through you. And it's like, where does my higher self want to pour through me into my life right now? And maybe you want to make a delicious meal for your family, or maybe you want to do some self-care for yourself, or maybe you want to fucking write poetry like I did, or figure some shit out in your journal. That's the other thing. Sometimes when I get like off track, I end up whipping out my journal and I have the biggest breakthroughs, not even on the thing that I'm like in a block with. I don't even waste my time on being like, why am I feeling blocked right now? I'll just like, what's trying to come through me? Usually that block, it's because something else wants to come through. Something might want to come through before. That other thing that you might want to deliver or work on might have like a little bit more of an incubation period, because there's something else that's supposed to come through you or be realized by you or be received by you before you do that thing. So it's just being willing to be like, okay, then babe, I hear you. How do you want to show up? What wants to flow through you? What is your soul craving to do right now? And I think the least we can complicate this, the better. If you're hearing me say this shit and you're like, oh, you're privileged, and oh, well, this, and this, and must be nice for you, but I can't because X, Y, Z, I just really invite you to simplify it and to honor yourself. It has nothing, listen, like, your opinion is your opinion. What you feel has nothing to do with me, but for your greatest and highest good, I genuinely offer you to stop taking advantage of yourself and to just nurture yourself in that way, to say, what is this? What's coming up here? What do you need me to hear right now? What do you need right now? And how can I honor that? And if you can't fully switch gears, check in. Like I mentioned, let's say you have like a big presentation, a big meeting, and you're like feeling this resistance and you're like, well, shit, like I gotta go up. Go to the bathroom, check in and be like, soul, what are you trying to tell me? Like, what is it? What is it that you're trying to tell me right now? Do I need to like shift? Is there something that you want me to shift? Do I need to like get my energy right? Maybe like you're not aware, but you're like, right? Like you need to like regulate and like breathe a little bit, and your soul is just looking out for you. That's the thing, is like this resistance, your soul is just looking out for you. Your higher self is just looking out for you. Your higher self is just trying to guide you to exactly what you want and get you exactly what you want and help you and guide you and protect you, help you get exactly everything that you desire. But the more that you abuse yourself and go against your soul's guidance because you're so firm and like, no, I need to do this and I need to do it this way because it was planned like this and blah, 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 you're blocking your blessings. You're blocking the easier route. You're blocking the way that the soul wants things to move so that you can get exactly where you want to go, and you can go there faster and you can get there better, and it can feel so fucking good along the way. Like I'm sitting here now, I'm just fucking off the dome for 45 minutes and it was easy. And it was easy. I mentioned that I wanted to get into when a trigger comes up, like how to move through that. But I do feel like that's an episode for another day because we're already 50 minutes in, which is shocking. But that is definitely something that wants to come through me today. I wrote these two things down: when things aren't flowing and when a trigger comes up, when I ask my soul, what it wants to speak on today, what it needs to speak on too. Because also I trust this, and this is what you should trust as well. Maybe it's not about you. Maybe it is about you, right? Like there's help for you there too. But maybe the reason why you're feeling like canceling that thing or calling in sick or not going to this place or doing this instead of that, maybe it's for someone else. Maybe someone really needed to hear this week. Maybe like you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh, that's me. Like, fuck, she's talking to me. And who am I to go against that? Who am I to hold you back from receiving that? And that's the medicine, right? I have this medicine, and that is what pours through me. That is my golden honey. That is my gift to this world. I'm literally abusing, taking advantage of, not even utilizing my medicine to all of its power if I try to determine what my medicine is and how it must flow. I should let the medicine speak. I should let that tell me what needs to be said because the medicine is for the world. In the same way, right? Like if something's coming up for you, you're feeling this block. Like I gave that example of like maybe you end up getting invited to something. Maybe your friend's there and like not to like put dark shit out there, but like she finds out her boyfriend's cheating on her. She needed you there tonight. Like, thank God you were there. And you might not get that immediate result or understanding now of like, wow, thank God it all worked out this way because blah, 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 blah. But I promise you, and if you look for it, I promise you, you will. There's never been a time that I've surrendered, that I've followed my guidance, and that I haven't been like, yep, that's exactly why. So trust that if it's not for you, if your guidance isn't telling you, screaming at you, trying to get you to redirect, pausing you, that's what the resistance is. It's the guidance being like, hold on a sec. Just like, give me 1 second. I got to tell you something. If it's not for you, trust that it's for someone else and trust that it's the best thing for you to do. Whether, again, that's canceling something, stopping something, putting a hold on something, delaying something, going somewhere, not going somewhere, whatever it is. Listen to that resistance and your soul will speak to you. Your soul will tell you. You have to get quiet. You have to get regulated to hear it. So take that beat. Like I said, if you're at work or somewhere, go to the bathroom, meditate, ask soul, ask spirit, what are you telling me? What are you trying to tell me right now? Look, I'm feeling this resistance, okay? It's plain as day. It's in my fucking face. Why is this here? What do you need from me? You will feel it. You will be told. You will feel it. And then you can even ask if you don't know, how do I do this? What is the way? Like, how can I get out of this then if you're telling me to do this? Or what's the other way around it? Or how, again, like I did, where can I pour my energy otherwise? Because I have this energy to pour, but where else can I pour it then? Ask these questions. You will receive the answers. Your soul's just looking out for you. And I'm just looking out for you. Okay, my loves. This wasn't what I had planned. But I really hope that it serves you and that it's the medicine. I know that it's the medicine that was meant to pour through me today. So thank you to my tree and my golden honey, juicy sap for pouring through. And thank you to yours for receiving, for being here, and continue to share your medicine in the world, but do so in a way that honors your medicine, respects your medicine, and allows it to flow how it desires to flow, because that is going to be the best use of it always. If you have made it this far, comment a tree emoji or a honey emoji or a tree and a honey emoji. Pick whichever. I'll know you're a real one. I know that you made it. And I want to hear your takeaways. So let me know what you thought about this episode on your Instagram stories or DM me or in the comments. I just love to hear what you guys think. So I'm actually really interested to hear what you think about this episode and to hear if you're the one this was for and how this sits with you, how this resonates. With that, thank you so much for being here with me today. I am sending you so much love, so much good fucking energy, and I will see you next time. Bye.